you think, because look, Pro Football Hall of Fame, inductee College Football Hall of Fame, that's what the world calls you, right? I've thought about this recently. What do you think your heavenly job title is?
Yeah, a man after God's own heart.
Okay.
Yeah, I fell in love with it. The first time I read the story of David, and my mother, before I read the story of David, she used to always say, "Boy, you King David, you King David." And I'm like, why does my mother keep calling me King David? You know? And so I had to go read the story of King David, and now over 50 to 100 times, I read so many pieces of King David's story. And to understand his story, I said, oh my goodness, how can someone think just like I think? How can someone pray the way I think about prayer? And so I've been through so much at a very young age, and I fell in love with God. I fell in love with God so early, Rachel, that now that I'm 45 years old, I am mature in my relationship with God. You know, I'm talking about, I gave my life to God at 10 years old. So I have a 35-year relationship of me not being perfect, but him always being perfect.
Amen.
Right? So me chasing him has been the mission of my life before I leave here. And when people see me, I truly believe scripture that they see a glimpse of God. Like they see a glimpse of goodness.
And that's what we all want.
That's
what we want.
That's it.
To be a reflection of him. I think, Lord, give me the faith of Daniel.
Yes, sir.
Give me that woman. I want to be that woman who had the issue of blood, who wouldn't take no for an answer, just to touch the hem of his garment. She said, if I can touch the hem of his garment, just the hem. Yeah. Just the hem. Oh man, I can. Pushed yes, and put. She chased him, and and that's the thing, man. We're gonna go to church here. That's the thing. The devil wants you to believe when you mess up, you need to go hide in the corner. Yeah. You're messed up. You're nasty. You're passed over. Nothing can be good. No, you got to get up and chase him with everything you got.
Your greatest ability, your greatest ability for true triumph in life is to expose every pain you go through immediately as soon as you feel it. Woo! That's how you live life. Because if you don't, then you swallow it. And once you swallow it, you digest it. And once you digest it, your whole life is what's inside of your belly. Regret, doubt, fear, bitterness. Worry, bitterness, right? No way. You got to get up, Rachel, with that. That's what life is. And the beautiful part about it is don't be afraid to fail. Fail every day. Fail every day. Because if you failing every day, that means you growing every day. I'm telling you, Rachel, I'm doing it. I'm doing it with I started this cycling thing about 5 months ago in this pandemic. And I asked God, like, what am I supposed to be learning? And the Lord just kept saying, I need more time with you. More time with you, Rachel. And I'm like, Jesus, am I moving that much? And I realized I'm on a plane 3 to 4 days a week. Yeah. You know, for 6, 7, 8 months, sometimes years. And I'm not spending the time. Yeah, I'm reading my Bible every day. But when are you dedicating me and you time? Right? If you're gonna date somebody, you better put in some quality time with them. Well, then how do you actually date God? Right? It's through prayer, it's through meditation. And I just started this cycling thing. And when I get out on the road, I just came from Cabo and I just been cycling with my daughters. And I was doing it by myself, of course, but as I'm cycling, I'm rolling over mountains and I'm riding on the side of oceans. Wow. Right? And he says, I'll place you by rivers of water. Now understand where I came from. See, sometimes people like to look at your glory, but they got to understand my story. Where I came from. I couldn't see blue water where I grew up at. No way. Everything around me said, you will not make it out of here. And I said, because of my pain, I know there's a better tomorrow. That's why I chase my pain. That's why one of the greatest abilities we have as human beings, and this is what makes us so unique as human beings. The day we make up our mind to change, leave, stop, redirect our mindset, it's over. It's simple math.
Yep.
It's simple math. But your mind got to be made up. See, this ain't somebody influencing you. See, that's one of the problems we got. You know, it's a lot of people, oh, well, somebody so-and-so said, no, tell me. That's why there's a difference of, in today's time with this pandemic and everything going on, watch what God has exposed.
Yep.
What he's exposed is, nowadays, to be actually respected, it's not your qualifications, it's your quality. It's who are you?
Yes.
Who are you with absolutely nothing? And that foundation for me, I'm in it. I'm in it with this cycling world, and I'm transforming not only my body, but I'm transforming my mind all over again, because now I'm saying, Lord, thank you for giving me this time. My goodness, I'm sorry that I wasted so much time worrying about things that I can't control. You know, I'm sitting with my kids and I'm watching how long they stay on these phones and how long that they go through these social media and how long they scroll. And they like, Dad, what you doing? And I'm like, well, actually, I just came from reading 2 or 3 books. You know? Yeah, I'm just writing a lot of stuff down with everything I got going.
Yeah.
Right. And so everything that I'm doing has an effect on exactly the way I played the game. People used to always ask me, why you study so much? Because I want to put my teammates in the best position. Yeah. So we all can win. Yeah. Same thing with no excuses. Same thing with my lifestyle. Same thing. Same way I treat people. Yeah. Simple.
You know, Ray, 2 things you said really quickly. One is, it's exactly what we teach in the movement. I call it radical vulnerability. Your pain is not for you. If you're brave enough to talk about it, brave enough to share it, I guarantee you, every time there's somebody on your path that needs to hear what you went through and you survived, right? It's why I'm so open, Ray, about the night I almost took my life. And people are like, why do you talk about that? That makes me uncomfortable. That's too much. That's too raw. No, you know what? There's somebody on my path that feels the way I felt that night and needs to hear that you're not defective, you're not broken, you're not too far gone. And so what you are doing by leaning into that pain, we call it taking off the mask, being radically vulnerable. That's the first thing. And the second thing, man, is, I said this last night, perhaps the pandemic is really an invitation to be reborn.
It is.
More peace, more joy.
It is. Rachel, listen, it's the first time in our history that we've ever seen the world stop. Right? If the world is working the way it's supposed to be working, the way God designed it, it doesn't stop. Yeah. But we have to get back to what you're talking about. The foundation of the way this pandemic puts you in a place, and the question that has to be answered is, what will you do now? Yes. Oh, let me tell you something. I found myself in a very bad place the first night I was incarcerated in jail. And I heard, and I could have took my story and I could have shut my mouth and been mad at the world for my injustice. And when I entered that jail cell, I heard the door slam, and I heard God say, "Can you hear me now?" And I said, "My God, was I living that bad when you wanted to?" And it wasn't that I was living that bad; it's that He had plans for me. Yes. Yes. And what I was doing wasn't part of His plans. You see? And that's where we have to go, and we have to understand why God isolates us before He elevates us. Woo! Right? You got to be isolated so that's why in our dreams at night, when He seals the instruction in your mind, He needs you to rest on that, right? It says renew, restore. Yes. But you can't renew or restore unless you're actually sleeping with that. You're praying with that. You're meditating with that. I don't try to be the most religious man in the world, but what I do try to be is somebody that live exactly what I only know is my truth. And once you found your truth, whew, my goodness, take it. You can deal with whatever you want to deal with in life. But if you're gonna deal with me, you're gonna always get truth, man. And that's a beautiful place. And when I was in my 20s and 30s, I wish I could have figured this out earlier. But now that I have that, I think the antidote to true peace is once you're honest with yourself and once you're committed to whatever your religion is, once you're committed to something that makes you strive to be a better person every day, you're on the right road for happiness. And that's why the first time I met you and your energy, and we went out there to the base out there and just seeing the risk that people have to take to live a normal life, right? Or to get across the board or whatever it was. Like, I'm okay. And I'm okay with sharing my story. And more people should be okay with sharing their story because like you said earlier, your story ain't for you.
Nope.
King David may be looking down on me, but King David didn't know how many people he inspired.
Yeah.
Right? He said I had to encourage myself. If you don't do nothing else, man, understand why he was the one chosen to fight Goliath. He wasn't chosen because he fought the king's fight. He was chosen because he fought his fight.
Yes.
Sometimes we got to fight our fight, man. And it's okay to fight your fight. It's okay to fight your fight if it's coming from the right place.
Amen.
And yeah, and so I every day is crazy for me right now. I'm telling you, like I'm in this space. I'm in a space and I'm being exposed something since this pandemic has happened I see life much slower. I started to see my game like that, right? After like my third year, the game started to really slow down to me.
How
right?
so? Because I know there's going to be a lot of athletes that are watching this that want to know, what did Ray Lewis do to slow the game down?
Yeah, let me show you. I started to watch so much film.
Okay.
I was watching it and I kept saying, oh, I don't watch this before. I don't watch this before. But you never see the same thing twice. Okay. Never, right? So as you're clicking, I'm like, wow, that formation looks exactly the same. Wow, they're on the same side of the field. I then took my game right after my third year and started studying offensive coordinators last 2 years.
Whoa.
Oh man, let me tell you something. If you ever talk to my core team to tell you how detailed I was, I wanted to know the offensive coordinator and I wanted to know every running back that I played against before the season started, 6 months before the season started. I was calling, getting my computer sent to me the day the schedule came out. And because I became so repetitive in understanding it ain't what you see, it's what you can break down. So I started breaking down individuals.
Okay.
I started studying offensive coordinators and started watching their tendencies. But then I started breaking down individuals. Every man has a weakness in a time of chaos. In a football game, there's chaos is happening every 5 to 10 seconds. But everybody got a weakness. And so I started to study when linemen would come to the ground and they will put their hands up like this, barely touching the ground, that meant pass. When they put their knuckles in the ground, that meant run.
Okay.
Right? If certain people came and their right foot was down, it was pass. If their right foot was up, it was run. Oh man, I started to play this game and I'm like, they don't know, I know everything about them. Then I started to fall asleep and get up. And so now this is where the game started to slow down because I started to write down. Rachel, listen to me. Any athlete who's listening, my trainer tell you this. I started to write down 5 plays every game that I know could not change.
Okay.
no matter what the coach called, no matter what. I know that was my big hit. That was my interception. I knew it because the game was that slow.
Okay.
Oh, Rachel, the way I studied film, I'm telling you, it's the greatest gift you ever have is to repetitively look at something enough to where you actually, it's like looking at a puzzle, right? And you just piecing it, and you look at that same puzzle, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, that same puzzle. By Sunday, that puzzle ain't changing.
Yeah.
That puzzle ain't changing. So now your vision is clear. So when they doing all this, I'm like, okay, come back right here, and I'm gonna knock your head off. So it became slow to me, man. So I started having fun with it.
They're gonna jump all over that, man. Mm-hmm. They're like, let me take notes here. Let me do this, and that's imparting wisdom to the next generation. Before we wrap up here, I do want to say this. You and I went to the border last year around this time. We were with first responders in El Paso right after the horrific Walmart shooting. We took a tour of Border Patrol. We were able to see everything that they do. We were able to impromptu get up and speak to Border Patrol and first responders. And one of the things that we learned a lot about was trafficking, human trafficking. Yeah. And I'm curious about you, because now I feel like it's like the rest of the world woke up to what we were learning then. And everybody's talking about it now. Everybody's talking about trafficking now. And Ray, I feel so grateful that the Border Patrol and Chris Clem and everybody took us down there and showed us what was happening, and then also gave us the opportunity to pour into first responders that desperately needed us.
That trip, first of all, we have to do it again.
Yes.
And again and again.
Yes.
So we'll figure that out when we're going to do that. But once again, that was another one of those things in my life that gave me a different perspective all over again. You know, I've been, doing what I can to fight this fight against human trafficking, and it's one of the greatest diseases, and it's the sickest thing I've ever it's sick. It's sickening that you see these young women, these kids, these men, women, everybody, just be taken like this. And, I heard somebody speak on it one time, and they called it a business, and I contradict that because I call it a tragedy, yes. That we allow this and we even let people make money off this, and that's why sometimes you got to be careful with putting everybody in a pool where there's just evil, like that's just evil, man, to hurt people, innocent people, and take them away from their loved ones. And most of them, the harsh reality is that we know most of them never make it back, and even if they make it back, they don't recover. Some of the girls recently, a couple of friends of mine were sending me videos of the ones that was rescued, and just watching this young girl who was taken from her mom at 9 years old. She made it back to her mom at 14 years old. She had been having sex with over 80 men a day. 80 men a day, Rachel, what we doing? Where we let that go on at? And to see her hold her mother again in that airport. But what about the ones that never are found? What about the ones that's never brought home? I'm just saying, we're in a place where we gotta ask ourselves a question. Okay. Is God happy with what we've been given as people? What we've let our children see and endure? Our kids ain't supposed to be going through that. That's a parent's number one job. So every time that happens, a family is broken forever. Yeah. And we witness that. Yeah. And so for me, I'm gonna stay in the fight because it's the right thing to do. A lot of good headway have been made. I'll share with you outside of the other stuff, but it's time, Rachel. I just think what I'm asking for is it just time for everybody to just wake up. It's just time, because we cannot act as if these things aren't real and if they don't exist, Yeah. And And that trip, you know, the way we looked at each other when we started to see, oh man, and then when we saw the young gear, we saw the band, the color of the bands, and they represent one thing, it represent another. And I'm like, man, you're looking like, and people go through this every day?
Every day.
Like, this is their life.
Every day.
You complain about eating a third and fourth time. They talk about grabbing a bottle of water and hopefully be traffic across the, oh my gosh, man. So my sister, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate us even going over there, but there's more we have to do, and we have to influence more people to get involved in this fight. Because if it's your child, what happens next?